What's a piece of adult advice you wish you'd known sooner? People care much less about you than you would think. Other people think about you less than you think they do. My kid and I went to a festival a while back and they were feeling self-conscious about their outfit. I told them that if they could describe one outfit of a stranger that we had seen the day before, I'd put $100 in their bank account right then. That's the only time I've seen them smile when they didn't get money. Be careful of who you vent to at work. Just because they listen or show some empathy, it doesn't mean that they're your friend or have your best interests at heart. My boss is a leader of his AA group. I don't go to AA, but as an alcoholic, I respect the demands/rules/whatever you want to call them of the group. People go to those meetings and pour their souls out, and oftentimes those church basements are one of the only things standing between them and the end of their lives. And the biggest part of AA is anonymous. In fact, one of the founders of AA refused to have his photo taken, even from behind, when a magazine wanted to do a story on the group when it was first becoming a thing. I learned that fun fact from Jeopardy! Anyway, long story short, because I'm getting pissed, a co-worker went to boss's AA because there was no local NA and talked about relapsing. Boss then took that info to work and got my co-worker fired by telling the higher-ups that guy had been making mistakes at work and boss suspected drug use. TLDR, I agree. Be very careful of who you trust and what you say to people who have the power to influence your life in a major way. Learn to live alone. My psychiatrist told me, in 2006, that at some point I was going to be forced to get comfortable with four walls and yourself, and while hard to hear back then, she was completely right. That used to terrify me, though she recognized that long before I did. Nowadays I consider it my superpower. A piece of adult advice I wish I'd known sooner is that it's okay to say no without feeling guilty. Setting boundaries is crucial for maintaining your mental and emotional well-being, and it's not selfish to prioritize your needs. Learning that you don't have to explain or justify your reasons for declining something can be incredibly freeing and helps you focus on what truly matters to you. It's better to be completely alone and find good friends/romantic partner than keeping the toxic ones just because you love them so much. Everyone is toxic to a degree and has something to work on. Doesn't give people an excuse to treat you crummy. Don't feel like you're giving up or abandoning someone because they are treating you poorly, and you decide to end the friendship/relationship. Maintaining friendships in your 30+ is a part-time job and should be treated as such. To add to that, you can make relationships what you want them to be. I had a period where I was pretty depressed and didn't see or talk to my friends for a while. I thought they hated me for disappearing. Turns out they missed me. Now I know that I can reach out when I'm thinking of them just to say hi. And if we flake on each other when life gets in the way, we can forgive each other and move on. Working harder than everyone else only means the boss will load you down with even more work. So how do you get a promotion? Wouldn't they consider you for one? Be a mediocre worker for most of the time. Do only the tasks you are explicitly assigned, nothing more or nothing less. Few days before the review cycle begins, start taking initiative and ask for extra work and be more vocal in meetings. Basically anything that keeps you in spotlight. Recency bias is very real and relevant when it comes to corporates. Everyone's faking it. Yes, even that super confident, capable person you know from work/school/your friendship circle. So don't feel scared if you are too. The more you do the things you're scared of, the more naturally they'll eventually come to you. That's how anyone and everyone builds competence in anything. So don't make excuses for yourself. Just get on with it. Be okay with being bad at things. Everyone's bad at the start. The real measure of competence is how willing you are to stick things out and slowly improve over time. Obviously, this requires a measure of common sense. If you really hate something, don't force the issue. But the likelihood is you're going to suck at your new hobby, profession, sport, exercise, musical instrument, language, or whatever endeavor you're hoping to pursue. And that's more than just okay, it's natural. Don't let stuff pile up. Bills, stuff on your to-do list, cleaning, low tire, engine light on, etc. It sounds basic, but getting stuff done as soon as it comes up, as soon as possible, lowers stress and makes life way easier. Stuff doesn't just go away, and getting it done quickly removes piles of stuff later. Working harder than everyone else only means the boss will load you down with even more work. Advancement comes from moving to new companies. Internal promotions are more the result of politicking with the right managers, and even if they do occur, they are much less frequent and come with smaller raises than if you just leave and take a better job elsewhere. Company loyalty is something that used to exist when companies had to compete for workers and treated them to better pay and benefits. This hasn't been the case for 40 years. Learn to live alone. My psychiatrist told me, in 2006, that at some point I was going to be forced to get comfortable with four walls and yourself, and while hard to hear back then, she was completely right. That used to terrify me, though she recognized that long before I did. Nowadays I consider it my superpower. This speaks to me. Lately I felt pretty lonely because the few friends I have are often too busy and the others ended up being either fake or disappeared. There is no shame in loneliness. You don't have to be surrounded by people all the time, and you can use the time that you have for yourself for self-improvement and cultivating a hobby that interests you. It can be learning a language, following a course, reading, improving your drawing, you name it. If you want my advice, just don't fossilize yourself with video games, because there's just so much more in the world beside entertainment. Lately, for example, I started learning how to read tarot, and it's filling periods of time alone as well as commutes in train smile. Don't base your success off of others' lives online or in real life. Just don't. Absolutely. Not only is comparison the thief of joy, but people are also really good at mostly only letting you know what they want you to know. Online or even talking in person, especially if you don't know much about their lives otherwise, people can mold their realities into basically anything they want. People are also prone to bring up all of their successes and none of their downfalls, which is normal, and when you compare to their stories, you're comparing the whole, unfiltered picture of your life to a partial and possibly embellished picture of theirs. Learn to live alone. Such good advice. I had my own apartment at 23, then moved into a place with a boyfriend. Eventually married, then divorced and back on my own. My brother showed me how to do basic maintenance. Anything over my head then I have to call the guy. I think I'm doing pretty good. It's lonely at times. My so passed away last year, so I'm doing my best. I have some co-workers who totally rely on their husbands for everything. One has never pumped her own gas, and she's in her 50s. God forbid something happened to the spouse, they would be lost. I get deer in headlights looks when I describe using a drill to hang up a shelf by myself, or cutting down a small hedge/broken tree branch using a chainsaw. It's just a normal way of life for me now. Nobody else is here to do this shit for me. Be careful of who you vent to at work. Just because they listen or show some empathy, it doesn't mean that they're your friend or have your best interests at heart. My boss is a leader of his AA group. I don't go to AA, but as an alcoholic, I respect the demands/rules/whatever you want to call them of the group. People go to those meetings and pour their souls out, and oftentimes those church basements are one of the only things standing between them and the end of their lives. And the biggest part of AA is anonymous. In fact, one of the founders of AA refused to have his photo taken, even from behind, when a magazine wanted to do a story on the group when it was first becoming a thing. I learned that fun fact from Jeopardy! Anyway, long story short, because I'm getting pissed, a co-worker went to boss's AA because there was no local NA and talked about relapsing. Boss then took that info to work and got my co-worker fired by telling the higher-ups that guy had been making mistakes at work and boss suspected drug use. TLDR, I agree, be very careful of who you trust and what you say to people who have the power to influence your life in a major way. Wait, the secretary of the group got the co-worker fired for relapsing. That should be reported to A. These are conversations held in confidence. A can't work if you don't feel comfortable talking there. There is no A to report it to. It's not that kind of organization. But whatever the boss is, I assume the chairperson of that specific meeting. Again, this means nothing, he's not a leader, just a dude who opens the meeting. He needs to carefully go over the 12 traditions again. And work his own fucking program. He really honestly might have killed the dude who got fired. Some people, man. Spend more time with your parents and grandparents. It's easy to overlook how quickly they're growing older while we're busy with our own lives. One day, their absence will hit harder than you can imagine. Cherish the moments you have with them now, before it's too late.
Hey guys, this is the Rogue YouTuber here. I recently had a big change in my life. I had a baby daughter. Here she is. If you could do me a favor and remember to hit the subscribe button and bang the bell, I'm hoping to really create a YouTube channel that really gets people excited and brings people the best, most interesting content collated from across the internet. I'm saving up to save my little girl to Carnegie Mellon Computer Science Department. So please remember to like and subscribe. See you next time.